My husband worked shifts. One morning, around 5:00 am, he had just left our bungalow to walk to the bus stop to catch the first of 2 buses to work. Being summer, it was very bright for the time of morning, and he told me he was just collecting his thoughts, thinking about the tasks he had to do that day, and the list of groceries that I asked him to get when from above and a little way off, he heard a rustling of leaves from a tree behind a wall of a garden. Thinking it was a squirrel, he looked up and he told me he thought he was seeing things. What he said he saw was a small black-bodied sleek figure walking or running on 4 skinny legs resembling a monkey with a long rat-like tail. It looked like the head was round with pointed ears either side of it. My husband couldn't see the creature's facial features as it moved with extreme speed. When it hit the ground it scurried away from him, but he said he swore he saw what he thought was a wing. In the brief time he saw the creature airborne, which appeared to be pinned back to the side of creature's body on the nearest side to him. My husband is practical, no-nonsense man who is somewhat skeptical about the supernatural and paranormal, although doesn't disbelieve altogether. He was slightly reluctant to tell me in case I would think he was having me on. We discussed the incident that night when he got home. He had already texted me about it and I was intrigued. I did ask my husband if it could have been a large bat. On talking about it and thinking it through properly, we concluded it couldn't have been a bat, as this creature that my husband saw had 4 legs and a rat's tail. We walked that route all the time, to get out of the estate and to the shops, before and since the incident, and we've never seen a creature like that. We are both natives to London and we are unaware of such a creature even existing, so we are still trying to work out what this creature could have been. I have cerebral palsy, but I have always worked while at and after leaving college, sometimes having 2 or 3 jobs at a time. When this incident happened I was 22, renting my bungalow and living alone. I was going to work. My main job at the time was as a dance, fitness, and play therapy assistant to a group of therapists working for young people with physical, learning disabilities and extreme behavior disorders. As I'm a full-time wheelchair user, I had to use a cab to travel to and from work, and although most of the guys driving for the cab firm were solid and really nice, there were a few dodgy ones, as in most walks of life. I could transfer quite easily, so all the drivers had to do was hold my wheelchair steady, then fold it up, then put it in the boot. On this day the guy turned up at 8:30 am, late, and I proceeded to transfer. I felt him right up close behind me, his hand brushed lightly over my back and bottom. It's worth mentioning that I had slight issues with this man before, mostly making smutty remarks and asking me out for a drink. I said no. He got slightly nasty and I ended up having to report it to the firm. As I'm disabled, there wasn't much I could do as I was holding myself up and I couldn't let go of the door. I swore at him, managing to swing round to sit in the car, and told him never do that. He just laughed and smirked. We started to drive. 10 minutes in I noticed we weren't going the regular route to get to the center where I worked. Being angry with him anyway, also the fact that I was already late for work, I asked him about this. He ignored my questions and said in a cold voice, "You know I live round here? I could take you to my flat where my 3 mates are and there wouldn't be anything you could do about it." When he said this I was CRPing myself inside, but I said in my bravest voice, "If I'm much more later, work will call me and they have your firm's details too." With that he scowled at me big time, and after a while I soon recognized the usual route to work. When I arrived at work my boss was worried. He saw the driver, who he didn't have time for either, asked me if I was okay. After a while I was able to tell my supervisor what had happened, and she first called the cab firm and then the police, who came to interview me at work and then talked to the man. I don't know what happened to him, but I never saw him again. Hey guys, so this happened 40 minutes ago. I'm still high-key creeped out about it. So I got FaceTime calls from an unknown iCloud user. The first few times I ignored it, but I accidentally accepted it and a family appeared looking up at the screen as if I was on a TV. Like they have Apple or Roku. They seem foreign, and it was daylight and it's currently dark where I am from. They were sitting on the floor and there was a lady holding a baby and a man next to her. They were smiling and were so happy. When I picked up they all said ooh yeah, and I hung up real quick. I wish I could have gotten a screenshot, but now I'm scared they might be watching me through my phone camera. And how did they even get my email/number? I tried calling them back but they wouldn't answer, and I even sent them a message but got delivered, so I decided to just block them. Last year I was home alone and it was about 1 a.m. when I got 2 voicemails from a random number from what seemed like an angry drunken man. The voicemail this random man sent me was about me supposedly talking to his girlfriend, I assume romantically. He sounded pretty drunk and progressively angry. He said he was coming for me and that I better hide. I was pretty scared, but there are several reasons which you should note as to why it was probably fake. I was 15. This man sounded late 20s, probably 30s, so I don't know why he thinks a teenager was trying to flirt with his girlfriend. The man had an accent that wasn't native to the area I lived in, so I assumed he lived in a different place. Being home alone, I was pretty scared. I had a knife I kept by my side for self-protection in my bedroom due to having to open a package in my room the morning before. I also live in the attic of my house, so it's obvious to hear any footsteps. Obviously I'm here now, so nothing did happen to me, but I was just wondering if anyone else had experienced these sort of voicemails and if they match what I've described, because some people say it might have been a prank, but many people have also said they have been sent voicemails like this too. Thanks. Hopefully this is the right subreddit. This is my first post, so excuse me if it's not fully relevant to the subreddit. So I am actually writing this at work. I work security, and recently in September I changed companies and sites. I started working at this new site that is a factory. Some backstory about this building is that it is well over 100 years old. It is infested with rats because the building next door is a company that rents out dumpsters, swaps them out monthly and cleans them. Rats, mice, roaches and other pests find themselves in here regularly. Conveniently though, the owner of the factory has begun to feed and care for the local homeless cats. He got them spayed and neutered, built them a cat house that's much like a plywood dog house, and feeds them daily and gives them water. Important to note that there are only 2 cats. Then on top of that, the owner brings his dog to work. His dog is a sweetheart. Now into the story. Lately I arrive for work at 1500 hours and my shift begins at 15:30. At 15:30 I begin locking doors as everyone leaves, and by 7 p.m. I am alone with all doors locked and the alarm systems are active. My job from then on is to regularly inspect the building, and for months everything was well. During my regular shift, which was 2300 hours to 7 o'clock, but lately since I have been doing doubles, odd things have been occurring. Over the last few days I noticed that the cats were spending a lot more time outside in the cold weather during the night time. The weather has reached as low as 7 degrees at times. Right now it is very cold, but they don't come in. If they do, they only stay in a room that is near the exit. I have only seen one single rat as well. Then I started hearing radios playing music in areas where I had previously walked, and it was not playing music before. I chalked this up to maybe the radios had an alarm and its alarm was to play the radio. Albeit at bizarre times like 1:48. I would turn the volume down but keep the radio on, and usually I wouldn't hear it again. Lights in this building also have odd happenings lately. One ended up being replaced in its entirety and was rewired but still acts oddly. What I keep thinking is that this building is over 100 years old, so there is bound to be some odd happenings with the electrical wiring. Tonight something odd happened that I am unsure how to explain. At around 3 o'clock, when I was drinking a Coca-Cola to stay awake, I heard the delivery bell. I had set down my drink at my post, which is just a chair and a table by the alarm system. I shut off the door alarms and brought in the guy who does the deliveries and stood with him, which is required by my post orders and was simple because we stand on direct side of the only door that could be entered from. After he left, I activated the door alarms and returned to my post around 3:45. The only issue was my Coca-Cola was gone. Like legit disappeared. I searched for a while and found no trace of it. I ended up just giving up on it. About 10 minutes later I heard the sound of someone clocking in and I immediately stood up to greet the person who I believed it was. The strange thing is no one was there. Now it was without mistake the clock-in bell that I heard. It is literally a bell. A physical bell. Like the round ones that have a hammer in it. When someone clocks in it makes a loud bing-ding noise. You can hear the bell at the other side of the building. Now the only things that should have been in the building other than me are rats and cats as the dog leaves with his owner. The alarms were on, so why didn't the alarms go off when someone came in? I checked around and at about 4:30 I shut off the alarms and soon an employee entered and asked me if he was the only one here. I asked him if he saw any other cars and told him the story and he laughed and called it the apparition. I never found the missing drink or who first clocked in. I'm more angry than scared. I want my Coca-Cola. Like and subscribe or this will be your whole Minecraft world.